The NBA is full of legendary moments.
Lillard, long range three, and it's good at the buzzer!
Game-winning shots. Jaw-dropping dunks. And record-breaking performances. But sometimes players lose their minds and do something so ridiculously dumb that millions of people watching live can only say, what was he thinking? We're talking kicks to the groin caught on 4K, sneaky punches, crazy shoves, and of course flops. Today, we'll break down 7 infamous NBA players who tried cheating on live TV, only to get busted instantly, turning themselves from heroes into idiots in a matter of seconds. Trust me, you're gonna want to stick around because these players didn't just break the rules, but they embarrassed themselves in front of the whole world on live television. Starting with number 1, the 2016 Western Conference Finals. It was the Golden State Warriors versus the OKC Thunder, and things are heated. Draymond Green enters the court, and in Game 3, he decided to showcase his best Mortal Kombat impression on Steven Adams. As Adams, a 7-foot guy known for his toughness, contests the play, and whack, nails Adams right there. Yes, it was on live television.
Green putting a move on Adams, and he is fouled. And down goes Adams once again.
Draymond basically hit Steven Adams in the worst place possible, like he was trying out for the NFL. Steven Adams goes to the floor in screaming pain, and the crowd in Oklahoma City loses its mind. And replay cameras capture the whole thing from every angle. You can basically hear the pain from every single male watching at home. It was really that painful to watch. Now, is this a deliberate cheap shot or a freak accident? Draymond told us that he didn't do it on purpose, and he claimed that he was just exaggerating his shooting follow-through and his leg involuntarily flew up. Sure, Draymond, whatever you say.
Follow through on a shot, like I try and kick somebody in the men's section. I'm sure he want to have kids one day. I'm not trying to end that on the basketball court. That don't make sense, so.
But the Thunder and most of their fans weren't buying that excuse, and after all, this wasn't even the first time. Draymond Green had caught Adams with a similar kick earlier in the series, twice in the span of a week. It looked less like a normal basketball move and more like a Bruce Lee roundhouse kick. The NBA took notice, and they upgraded Draymond's foul to a flagrant 2 and flagged him with a $25,000 fine. Surprisingly, they didn't suspend him for the next game, which was a bad decision that a Thunder fans outraged. Still, Draymond was put on notice, and one more flagrant and he'd be automatically suspended. Basically, the refs were telling him that we're watching you. Hey, going on to number 2, I did not know Chris Paul was this capable, but before Chris Paul was a respected point guard of the NBA, he had a not so good look of a moment in college that still haunts his reputation. Heading back in time to 2005, it was Wake Forest versus North Carolina State. Emotions are running high, and it's Paul's last home game, and there's trash talk flying around. CP3, known for his competitive fire, completely lost his cool, and as the players went for a rebound, Paul swung his arm and punched Julius Hodge below the belt, right in the, well, let's just say not the basketball. Yup, the future NBA superstar delivered a huge hit to an opposing player in the middle of a game. And the crazy thing is, the refs missed it initially. Paul didn't even get a call for a foul on the play. He thought he got away with it, but of course, with today's technology, TV and cameras caught the whole thing in crystal clear detail. Later that night, the replay was shown, and everyone saw CP3's dirty little secret. This was definitely embarrassing for Chris Paul, and his own school reviewed the tape and basically said that they can't let that slide. They suspended him for the next game, which was the ACC tournament quarterfinal. It was a huge deal that their star player, a potential national player of the year, was benched for a must-win game, all because of a moment of stupidity. Paul had to issue a public apology saying that he truly regrets the incident and that he let his emotions get the best of him. The victim of that punch, named Julius Hodge, was understandably, of course, furious at the time. He later said that he couldn't believe the ref didn't see it and the tape doesn't lie. For many years, he didn't let it go. In fact, a full 10 years later, when Chris Paul suffered a groin injury in the NBA, Hodge straight up trolled him on Twitter, basically celebrating the iconic karma, talking about a grudge. That's a crazy long grudge that he held. The exact quote that Hodge tweeted was, "What goes around comes around." Even a decade later, he was like, "Remember when you punched me there? Yeah, how's it feeling now?" For Chris Paul, that ugly incident became part of the lore of his competitive fire, and to this day, some fans label CP3 as a sneaky dirty player, citing things like that punch, the occasional sneaky elbow, or the infamous incident where he hit a defender, Jose Alvarado, in 2022, years into his NBA career. And heading on to the third player who got caught cheating live, it was Game 4 of the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals, Indiana Pacers vs Chicago Bulls. If you're able to guess who it is, comment down below. The game was high stakes and it was a huge moment. The Chicago Bulls, with Michael Jordan basically in his prime, are up by 1 point with only 2.9 seconds remaining. The Pacers have the ball for a final shot. The entire arena is on its feet, the noise is very deafening, and Reggie Miller, if you guessed in the comments correct, great job, Indiana's clutch sharpshooter, is being guarded by none other than Michael Jordan. Jordan, a legendary defender. You think there's no way Reggie's getting open for a clean look here, right? Well, think again. As the play starts, Reggie Miller makes his move and does the unthinkable. He blatantly shoves Michael Jordan aside with both of his hands, sending MJ falling backwards. With Jordan effectively launched out of the way, Miller darts back behind the three-point line and drills a turnaround three-pointer before the buzzer. Swish, the crowd explodes. Indiana wins 96-94 on that shot, tying the series 2-2 and handing the Bulls a stunning playoff win.
9 seconds. Harper's on Miller. McKee gets it in the middle for the win.
Unbelievable! Reggie hits the three with 7/10 of a second.
The place went absolutely bananas. Reggie sprinting around the court in celebration, pumping his fist, while MJ was left looking around like, yo, did anyone see him push me? Jordan actually almost answered with a miracle of his own. He caught a last-ditch heave at the buzzer and that just rimmed out, but the damage was done. The replay clearly showed Miller shove Jordan to get free and an obvious offensive foul in any normal situation, but the refs didn't call it in that big moment, and the Pacers got away with one of the sneakiest cheats in playoff history. But if you look at Larry Bird's facial expression, you know that he knew that Michael Jordan wouldn't let that slide. Because in that series after that game, the Pacers were only able to win one more, while the Bulls kicked them out of the playoffs. But one of the most famous people that get caught cheating, they aren't just regularly famous, they're famous for cheating. His name is Patrick Beverley. A lot of the times, his frustration just boils over in the worst way. In the 2021 Western Conference Finals, the Phoenix Suns were about to eliminate the Los Angeles Clippers in Game 6. The Suns were up by almost 30, with under 6 minutes left, and Chris Paul was absolutely torching them. Even I remember watching this game live. Patrick Beverley, known for his scrappy defense, and let's be honest, annoying gameplay, had been jawing with CP3 all series. But as the Suns pulled away, Beverley reached a breaking point. During a timeout, as both teams were walking to their benches, Bev snapped. He walked up behind an unsuspecting Chris Paul and shoved him hard in the back with both hands, sending CP3 sprawling to the floor. It was a cheap shot of the highest order, a completely unsportsmanlike act, and with Paul not even looking, the arena was quiet for a second. Then was chaos. Suns players immediately came to CP3's defense, stepping up to Beverley like, what the heck is wrong with you? The Clippers staff grabbed Beverley before it could escalate further. The refs of course saw the whole thing and ejected Patrick Beverley on the spot. I mean, the game was already essentially over, but Pat Bev managed to make his exit even earlier. As he walked off, he tried to act all tough guy, but it was a bad look. He completely lost his cool on national TV. The announcers blasted him for a dirty play, and social media went crazy, calling him an idiot for attacking a player from behind. It's one thing to foul someone hard during play, but a blindside shove when the clock is not even going, that's just asking to be labeled as a villain. The aftermath was pretty obvious. Beverley was hit with a 1-game suspension by the league for the following season. The NBA's vice president of operations even put out a statement calling it an unsportsmanlike act, with forcefully pushing CP3 from behind during a stoppage. Basically, it was the league's way of saying that was totally unacceptable, and if you do it again, you're gonna be suspended for much longer. Patrick Beverley, perhaps realizing that he'd screwed up big time, he actually apologized on Twitter the next day. He tweeted directly at Chris Paul, quote, "At CP3, emotions got the best of me last night, gang. My bad, wasn't meant for you. Congrats on making it to the finals. Best of luck." Kind of a half apology. It wasn't meant for CP3. Who was it meant for then? The guy who shoved was Chris Paul, but at least he acknowledged that he lost control. But the fans didn't really let him off the hook. Beverley was already known for this, but this incident made him look downright dirty and frankly foolish. Pushing a 36-year-old superstar in the back out of frustration just because he cooked your team, that's a sore loser move. You know who else is a sore loser? Dennis Rodman. Take it your way or mine, he is not a stranger to controversy. His nickname is The Worm, and he had a habit of wriggling his way into trouble. But even for Rodman, what happened on January 15th, 1997 was absolutely outrageous. The Chicago Bulls were playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Rodman, as usual, was hustling for a rebound when he stumbled out of bounds and tumbled right into a courtside cameraman named Eugene Amos. Both of them went down on the floor. Now, a normal player would have gotten up, maybe said, "Oops, are you alright, man?" But not Dennis Rodman. He was furious, perhaps angry that he tripped, or just Rodman being Rodman. He sat on the floor and glared at the cameraman, and then delivered a straight kick to the guy's groin/inner thigh area. Yes, you read that right. Dennis Rodman kicked a cameraman on purpose during a live NBA game. The poor cameraman was just doing his job, probably thinking that did Dennis Rodman just kick me? He collapsed in pain, and the arena went silent in disbelief. The TV cameras, the fans, the other players, it was one of those "did that really just happen" moments. Rodman got got teed up and ejected immediately, but the fallout was only just beginning. The NBA was furious. This wasn't just a simple on-court foul. Rodman attacked a non-player, which looks terrible for the league, and Commissioner David Stern at the time came down on Dennis Rodman like a ton of bricks. He hit Rodman with an 11-game suspension and a $25,000 fine, which at the time was one of the harshest penalties in NBA history. The message was clear: kicking camera guys was not good, but Stern didn't stop there. He basically said Rodman's suspension was indefinite until Dennis could assure he'd conform his conduct and not endanger others. They even made Rodman undergo counseling during the suspension. It was a major scandal. On top of the league punishment, Rodman had to open his wallet big time. To avoid legal action, he reached a settlement with cameraman Eugene Amos, reportedly paying him about $200,000 for the pain and trouble. Imagine that, a $200,000 kick? That might actually be worth it. Just kidding, don't ever take that, kids. Rodman later apologized publicly, but also tried to justify that he was frustrated and out of control in the moment. The Bulls, while unhappy about losing their rebounding machine for 11 games, knew that Rodman came with this kind of baggage. Still, this incident was extreme, even by his standards. Even his teammates were like, yeah, Dennis messed up here. You might not recall this one off your hand, but it's a sneaky dirty play that deserves a spot on the list. Let's set the scene. The Toronto Raptors are facing the Houston Rockets in a regular season game. DeMar DeRozan, who was then the star wingman for Toronto, was known for his high-flying drives to the hoop, and Trevor Ariza was a veteran defender for the Houston Rockets, usually a level-headed 3-and-D guy, but on this day, he was having a rough night. In fact, Ariza was ice cold. He was missing shot after shot and growing frustrated. The Rockets were struggling and tensions were getting higher. Then comes a crazy play. DeRozan steals the ball from Trevor Ariza and takes off on a fast break. Ariza, who was already annoyed, chases him down, and that's when Ariza snaps.
Under 4 minutes remaining. DeRozan here in this third, and Ariza a technical, and he's gone.
It was less of a basketball play and more of a get off of me tackle, and immediately popped up ready to fight. The whistle blew. Flagrant 2 foul, automatic ejection for Ariza, and players from both teams got on each other's faces. For a moment, it looked like it could erupt into a brawl. DeRozan was furious, and he was rightfully so. You can seriously injure someone like that. The refs and coaches managed to separate everyone before punches were thrown, and Ariza didn't really argue his ejection. He knew that he had messed up big time. And of course, the replay shots made him look really bad. You can see that after losing the ball, he just swung a form in frustration at DeRozan. It wasn't subtle at all. He might have not meant to hit DeMar in the head, but that's what he did. The Houston Rockets later wrote that Ariza was more frustrated than he could stand, and just lost it after the turnover. In other words, it was a total brain fart moment. The NBA League reviewed it, and of course, Ariza received a 1-game suspension for the incident. But it can't be a cheating list without this player, and his name is James Harden. A phenomenal scorer, MVP, and one of the biggest floppers the sport has ever seen. Unlike the other incidents, Harden's cheating wasn't a one-time outburst, it was all the time. This man practically turned flopping into an art form or a running joke, depending on your perspective. For years, Harden would use every trick in the book to bait referees into calling fouls. Some call it smart basketball IQ, and others call it cheating the game. Almost every time Harden shot, he would pretend to flop. Even Steph Curry wasn't safe. Harden once duped a ref into calling a foul on Steph by essentially acting like Steph hit him when replay showed minimal contact. Curry was upset and angry, and even he had to admit Harden's acting skills got him. Some of Harden's flops were actually good, but all this flopping had to end. It reached a point where the NBA itself had to step in. In the 2021-22 season, the league finally implemented new rules to curb exactly the type of non-basketball moves that Harden had pioneered. Refs were instructed not to call fouls when offensive players initiated contact unnaturally, like jumping into a defender or hooking arms on purpose. Basically, the NBA said, enough of this nonsense. We're not rewarding these tricks anymore. Harden had been so notorious for foul baiting that he became the poster boy for the rule change. Seriously, commentators literally said the league was addressing the James Harden rule to restore some integrity. And once those rules went into effect, Harden's free throw numbers plummeted. Early that season, he was getting hardly any calls for the stuff that used to work. You could almost see his frustration so much. It was like a magician's trick being exposed. Now, Harden is an immensely talented player. He didn't need to flop to drop 30 points, but it certainly helped him pile up points and get opponents in foul trouble. Now, quick question for you. Comment down below which of these moments do you think was the most outrageous, and did we miss any other infamous cheating moments that should have made the list? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Click on the video popping up. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.